Hi guys, how are you? And welcome to another brief video with Dr. Pam, owner and founder of Academic Coaching for World Changers. How are you guys doing today? I know that it feels like you are so tired of studying and it feels like you will never ever get this done. I promise you, you will. You will get this done. You will be making lots of money and you'll come back and you'll be on our podcast. If you're not sure what that is, we do have podcast episodes and we have people that come back and tell their stories. I realize that you think you'll never pass, but I promise you, people pass all the time. This test is very, very doable. Thanks for tuning in for a minute. And I've got another practice question for you. So remember, you are worth it. Invest in yourself. Bandura talks about the importance of self efficacy, knowing who you are and get it done. As we look at all test questions, there are either two ways that questions are asked. They are application questions or they're recall. Application questions, we're always going to follow the same thing. We're going to assess, assess, assess. We get paid to be nosy. That's why you chose this field, right? You ask questions all day, every day. Remember, when I'm trying to assess if the question is full of feelings and people are upset, they're angry, they're mad, I don't get to start off with my psychosocial, right? I'm going to ask you some feelings questions first. How are you? How you doing today? Safety trumps everything. And remember, we always plan with the client, never for the client, and termination starts at the beginning. Those are some basic rules we're always going to follow. And if it's not a assessment question, it's a recall, right? Bloom's taxonomy talks about how we understand questions. We get very few of those remember. Stats and research are remember because you just get to memorize, but the rest are going to be at higher level thinking. So whatever question you're looking at, remember, we're going to remember it's either a recall question or it's an application question. And all of those are still just a reading test. It's just a reading test. They're giving you all the hints and clues that you need in the question. Read the question over and over and over again. Understand the question before you get to any of the answers. So let's get to our question for today. Linda is meeting her client Joe for their regular session. Linda asked, if you could fix the biggest thing wrong in your life, what would your life look like? This is an example of what? Oh, these questions, I want to sometimes scream. It's an intervention question, I think, but I don't know. I don't know. And remember, I'm going to say to you, spend more time in the question before you do in the answers. If you could fix that biggest thing wrong in your life. So I'm sitting here thinking, okay, so psychodynamic, psychoanalytic is Freud, basic ID is Lazarus, solution focus, the miracle question, that might be it, right? If you woke up tomorrow. Existentialist is why am I here? Why do I exist? Feminist therapy talks about me feeling oppressed and society is the problem. So I'm looking at the question if I could fix the biggest thing wrong in my life. Probably not CBT, because CBT says I've got some stinking thinking. And REBT, the ABCDE of REBT, talks about my irrational belief system. So my gut says it's probably solution focused. And that's what I want to look at before I look at any of the questions. So many of my OCPD people, obsessive compulsive personality disorder, you have learned the exact verbiage. You have spent years and time learning the verbiage, and you haven't learned how to apply the information that you know. Okay, so let's see if I can get some more information. I do know it's a reading test. Oh, my four choices: staging questions, a deficit question, a miracle question, and motivational interviewing. Staging questions, I'm not really sure what that is. Deficit questions, my first thought, think about, we ask a lot of strengths based questions. I don't know that we ask a lot of deficit questions. I know the miracle question, that solution focused. If I woke up tomorrow and the problem wasn't a problem, what would it look like? And motivational interviewing, I know that belongs to the trans theoretical model, the stages of change. Do you know back in the day, we would actually yell at people? If you were in pre-contemplation and you didn't think you had a problem, we'd laugh at you. What is wrong with you? You're an absolute idiot. Do you realize what's going on? This is a relatively new theory in my career, at least. I think it started off probably in the early 2000s. I remember my first training where it was suggested that we stop yelling at people that had a problem. It started with drugs and alcohol, but of course, now we use it with anyone who has a problem at all. So I know my question. The question says, I'll go back. It says, Linda asked her client, if you could fix the biggest thing wrong in your life, what would it look like? A lot of people will go and just pick the answer of the four. If you're one of those and it's working for you, go ahead. Go ahead. Our goal is for you not to get it always right. Our goal is to understand why you got it right. We believe if you learn content, you'll always get every question right. So, what we're going to do is spend a lot of time understanding what are they asking me? Remember, every question measures a knowledge, skill, or ability. What are they seeing if I know? This question is based on the miracle question, which is solution focused brief therapy. Solution focused brief therapy is 6 to 8 weeks, very short. The goal setting is an integral part of a solution focus. We're not going to look a lot about the past because we only have 6 to 8 weeks. We're looking for a quick solution that really focuses on the current and the future circumstances. It relies on your strengths, what's working for you. And we're going to modify some of that faulty thinking, maybe, and challenge those patterns. But 6 to 8 weeks, this is not long-term therapy. You're not sitting on my couch forever and forever. This really is focused on how we just focus on the problem. Solution-focused brief therapy, 6 to 8 weeks. The terminology that I'm looking for is the it is the miracle question, the accept question, and a scaling technique. What I do know is solution-focused therapy is one of the few that doesn't follow the medical model. What does that mean, Dr. Pam? What is the medical model? When you go to the doctor, you start off with the doctor and he says, what's wrong? You go to the doctor because something is wrong. You don't go because something is right. Solution focus is going to focus on what is going right. So the medical model focuses on treating the problem. Solution focus is one of the very few therapies that says, I get there's a problem and I understand that some stuff happened, but we're not going to focus on that because we don't have enough time. So solution focus really looks at presupposing change. When you come into the office, I'm going to figure out how we can go forward. Not what the problem is, but how we can go forward. Let's focus on your strengths. Let's focus on the positives and what's always going right or what's going right. That's sometimes called the accept question. And many times you'll see that as a single line question. What is the accept question? Right? The accept question is, when is the problem not a problem? And that's what we're going to focus on. When is it not a problem? Can you think of an instance when the problem was not a problem? So let's talk about, I go in to see my solution focused therapist and I say, oh my gosh, I'm so depressed. I'm so depressed. I can't get up. I can't run. I'm sad. I want to cry. I want to stay in bed. He's going to say to me, Pam, are there times when you're not depressed? When is the problem not a problem? I could say, well, you know what? When I am cooking or when I'm walking my dogs, when I'm spending time with people that I love, I don't feel depressed. Then he's going to focus on when is the problem not a problem. The accept questions help you gain awareness of the situation. It really focuses on when is it going right? Not when it's going wrong, but when it's going right. Okay. So the miracle question. Okay, Pam, you're coming in, you're saying, oh my gosh, I feel sad, I feel depressed. And he says, well, you know what? If you went to sleep tonight and you woke up and you were no longer depressed, you were no longer sad, you were no longer anxious, what would it look like? If the miracle happened and the problem was solved overnight, how would you know? If you woke up tomorrow, what would it look like? How would you envision your life without the problem? I could say to you, if I'm not depressed, I get up in the morning at 6 a.m. and I'm singing with the birds, jogging. La 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 la. Right? That's the miracle question. So every session, we're going to focus on what is my 10. My 10 is the problem is not a problem. I woke up, depression went away, and I feel great. So every time I come back in, he's going to ask me, how close am I to my 10? That's also called the scaling technique. Solution-focused therapists use scaling techniques to examine the present circumstance. On a scale from 1 to 10, once I figure out my 10, what it looks like, every week I come in, he's going to ask me, how close are you to your 10? We're not going to focus on the days that it's 0. We're going to focus on the days that it's a 7, 8, or 9. We're going to find out what's already working and make that continue to work. Solution focus, very brief, 6 to 8 weeks, focusing on what's going right. Now that I understand the content of the question, I'm going back to the question. It's a recall question, right? But the recall question gives me a lot of verbiage in the sentence to help me figure it out. Linda is meeting with her client, Joe, for a regular session. Linda says, if you could fix that biggest problem that's going wrong in your life, what would it look like? If you woke up tomorrow, Joe, and the problem wasn't a problem, what would it look like? So I said before, we're taking out the staging question and the deficit question. I'm down to the miracle question and the motivational interviewing. And again, now that I understand the question, many times I'm done. I'm really done because I know what it looks like. But understand how I got here. I went back and I learned the techniques. If you choose to use study questions as, if you use questions as study techniques, this is how we do it. We go back and we understand. If you're struggling with verbiage and you don't know what the words mean, you're going to Google it when you're studying. Remember, we're going to put in a Google term plus social work, plus counseling, plus psychology. Understand what it means to me. Part of the problem is this test is written at a very high vocabulary rate. A lot of my clients just don't have the verbiage. When you're taking practice questions, don't just ignore it. Google it. Put in plus psychology and add it to your list of words that you need to know. The goal is, in order to pass this test, is that the assumption is that I have an extremely high vocabulary. Of course, my answer is the miracle question, right? You woke up tomorrow and the problem is not a problem. The miracle question is a technique commonly used with solution focused. It says other counseling approaches, but for the test you're taking, solution focused belongs to the miracle question. The miracle question belongs to solution focus. The purpose of the question is to help my clients articulate their goals, to understand what is their 10, and continually to work to getting toward their 10. Okay. I will tell you that there's a lot of critiques against this. Many times it's called the EAP program, where you have a very few sessions and we're trying to focus on how to fix or put a Band-Aid on the problem during those few sessions. It's quick, it's goal-oriented, and a lot of people say it's just putting a Band-Aid. However, again, I'm only teaching you how to pass the test. Whether you use solution focused or not is up to you. It is definitely going to be a test question on every test you take, and we have to understand the verbiage of solution focused. Additionally, an empathetic therapeutic relationship may not be formed, and every other theory says that the most important thing is that therapeutic relationship. Remember, solution focused brief therapy is one of the many clinical orientations that you'll see on the test. You don't have to agree, you don't have to like it, you don't have to use it, but you do have to know it's a test question. Guys, if you're struggling with any of the test questions, if you're lost, stop spending money on buying material. Invest in yourself. Learn the techniques, learn the questions. Stop just trying to get it right and understand all of the content behind the question. I hope that I see you in an individual session, a group session, or just send us an email, Dr. Pam 2020, and says, hey, Dr. Pam, we watched your videos and we passed. We believe in one and done. If it's your second time, two and through, but the goal is stop wasting energy, money, and time on a test that you can do. I hope I see you in a future session. Bye, guys. And most of all, thank you for being a world changer.